To some news just in from Somalia. The Kenyan Defence Forces, it's killed more than 40 al-Shabaab militants in airstrikes. The strikes were carried out on what's believed to be a makeshift militant camp in the town of Damase. I repeat, Kenyan forces say they've conducted airstrikes on al-Shabaab militants in Somalia. We will bring you more on that story as it comes in. Now, African Union troops in Somalia, meanwhile, say they haven't been paid for more than 5 months. The 22,000 peacekeepers are in the country to battle al-Shabaab militants. AMISOM is funded by the European Union, and the EU says it hasn't released the money due to complex approval processes. The bloc has also recently announced a cut in funding for AMISOM. The issue is likely to be high on the agenda at the AU summit in Kigali next month. The AU has already urged member states to contribute more funds. Well, let's bring you more now on those AMISOM payment issues. Live from Mogadishu, I'm joined by CCTV's Abdulaziz Bilo. Abdulaziz, just what is the latest from AMISOM on the payment of its forces?
Well, Lindy, for long now, the issue of AMISOM, of a lack of funding for its activities here in Somalia and the stipends and the salaries for the African Union forces has become an issue of concern. But then again, this is not the first time that African Union forces have gone for such a long time without getting their salary. Now, interestingly, is one of the key donors for the African Union mission in Somalia here. The European Union recently announced a funding cut, 20% funding cut rather, for the groups, for the missions activities here in Somalia. Now, according to the European Union ambassador to Somalia here, whom we interviewed recently, he said that emerging issues within Africa, within the continent, especially in countries such as Mali and Libya, this is in northern Africa, these are some of the reasons as to why the European Union has reconsidered the pool of money that it has on standby for African Union forces here in Somalia, and that's one of the reasons as to why it has reduced the funding 20% for the AMISOM forces here in Somalia. It's also said that critical issues such as the issue of migration within Africa and South Sudan are some of the issues that has resulted to some of the European Union reducing its funding for the African Union mission here in Somalia. But then again, the United Nations the United Nations head of mission in Somalia rather has said that the European Union and the United Nations need to work together and to create that urgent pool of money for the African Union forces here in Somalia, so that to avoid any gains made to be lost in the past couple of years. So for now, the European Union is being blamed for withholding rather the salary of the African Union forces here in Somalia, Lindy.
Okay, well, that update from Abdulaziz Bilo live for us in Mogadishu.